design and beauty, learning goals and design. We are tempted to provide materials and an environment for children which is full of design, of patterns. Like my blazer today has a design on. It's a practical design because if there is some food spilled on it, it can't show easily. And this is what is happening if we give materials to children which have designs. Like my blazer has a design. It will prevent children from seeing what they are doing. Flowery design, patterns, stripes, whatever it is taking the concentration of the child. That means it's consuming the concentration of the child. Children are still learning to see clearly. Also, the smaller the child, the more the child is focusing on small objects because he's learning to focus. So if we give children material which has design on, like flowers or little bugs or little ladybirds, cute things, the children will focus on the design and not on what they are doing. Let me give you an example. You want to provide a simple pouring exercise for the child. The child should pour water. You're providing a tray which has a beautiful flowery design. You are using colored water because you learned in your Montessori class that when the water is colored, the children can see it easily and focus more easily on the water. So you use food color to color your water for the child's pouring exercise. And child is excited about the pouring exercise. What is happening will be the following. Let's say flowers on the tray will absorb concentration of the child from the water to the tray, which means the chance of spilling water for the small child is much higher than if the tray had a plain color. What's happening else is the design will prevent the child from detecting spilled water because the design is not peaceful, it's not calm, it's loud, it's noisy. It makes the child to watch closely, but still the drop of water is not seen easily on a design, on a pattern, on a flowery pattern. It's as if the water was part of the pattern. And this will prevent children from controlling their errors when they do such materials. Any design we use in the Montessori method has to fit what needs to be done. So it has to fit the learning goal. What do I mean? If I want the child to learn counting, I let the child count something plain like dots, because the interest and the focus should be on the counting or on the quantity. I do not let the child count flowers because if I'm bringing in flowers, I want the child to learn about flowers. And I can't mix both because children can only learn one step after the other. So design can be there if and only if it has something to do, if it is closely connected, if it's directly connected with the learning goal. Children are easily distracted. Everybody who has ever observed children know that. And this is how we have to provide materials which allow the children to focus. I will give one more example. If I'm providing material with cards and pictures and maybe information on for the children to learn whatever I want the child to learn, the back of the cards must be plain, because only then it's clear for the child the information is on one side, that's my information. That's what I have to look at. That's what I have to read. That's what I have to watch. That's what I have to observe. That's what I have to match. The back, the flip side, must be plain. It could be plain white, plain green, plain red, whatever you like, but plain. Because if something, let's say from the topic that you have provided for the child is on the flip side, that means the child will focus on both sides of all the cards. And this will create confusion and prevent focus on the learning goal. It will distract and learning will be made harder or even impossible depending on the personality of the kid. So let's say you want to have material about snails. Interesting, spring is coming and snails are starting to coming out. So you want the children to learn about snails. Don't put snails on the back of the material. Have it plain. If you want it green, because mostly we are observing snails in the grass or in the forest, have it green but plain. Do not put lots of different small and tiny snails or maybe even comics, clip art snails on the back, because the child will be confused by that pattern, distracted from learning about the different types of snails, and can't learn anything anymore. In the worst of cases, if you put tiny patterns of what the child is learning in the front on the back, and maybe all the tiny snails are on the back, the child who is still focusing on small objects a lot will maybe read about one type of snail but focus his vision on a different type of snail. So please don't you ever use flip sides which have design. Why we do that is just because we're used to seeing it like that. Many companies who provide cards, games with cards, material with cards, learning materials or what they call learning materials with cards, very often print designs on the back of their cards. And because companies are doing it, we think that we are providing quality materials if we do that. No, the quality material is if we don't do it. So actually, if you bought such cards to use them for your children, you should stick plain backs on the back of the card and laminate those cards again in order for the children to really use those cards very well.